for every time I turned my back on him, for the times I rejected the poor and hungry, for the holidays when I hurt the ones I love, for the way I judge people I know nothing about, for the days I think I can do it all on my own, for the stuff I gathered but never needed, for the times I thought I was better than someone else, for the mornings I woke up and decided to carry my own burdens, for the envy I allowed to hollow out my soul, for the excess that I secretly loved, for the silence when I should have shouted, for the shouting when I should have been quiet, for the words that cut deep, for the selfishness that I hide, for the lust disguised as love, for the way I wasted precious time, for the people I refused to forgive, for the feelings of inadequacy, for the addiction I can't kick, for the poor whom I ignored, for the laughter at another's expense, for the times I only acted generous, for the fear of failure, for the fear of rejection, for the fear of everything. Jesus died to forgive us of our past and to give us freedom, love, and hope for the future.
As a young man, I'd experienced firsthand and many times the indignities, the brutality of the Roman occupation, an affront to Israel. And so eventually I joined with the Zealots, spent my nights plotting against the Romans, spent my days taking down names, noting any Jew who I thought didn't have sufficient hatred for our enemies, sufficient longing for the coming of our kingdom. I was determined at any cost to return Israel to its proper authority, whatever it took. It was black and white. So how, in my old age, with my hard and certain ways, did I find myself sitting across the table from a man who taught the exact opposite of what I'd fought my whole life for? I can't tell you that with any reasonable explanation. At the Passover meal that night, well, I guess later someone dubbed it the Last Supper, at that meal, Jesus gathered us all, his enthusiastic followers. He poured the wine. He spoke unsettling words. He said, "This is the blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many." Not your normal Passover jargon. Those words, poured out for many, they hung in the air. Believe me, I was no stranger to pouring out blood. What cause is worth fighting for if you're not willing to spill some blood? Preferably the blood of your enemies. But Jesus, well, he seemed to have a different idea about what it meant to pour out blood, what it meant for the kingdom to come, for the Messiah to reign. Now all of us, well, me anyway, I knew what the Messiah was all about. The Messiah was coming to bring the sword. He was coming to crush our enemies and to spill their blood. Jesus told us to love them instead. And all the battles and the causes that I thought were important, that for my whole life seemed so right, I felt them slipping through my fingers like dust. That night, well, that night was when I finally started to let it all go, bit by bit. My agenda, my causes, And step by step, I started to follow this man, this curious warrior, Jesus.
So to pacify the crowd, Pilate released Barabbas to them. He ordered Jesus flogged with a lead-tipped whip, then turned him over to the Roman soldiers to be crucified.
Women were there, watching from a distance, including Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James the Younger and of Joseph, and Salome. They had been followers of Jesus and had cared for him while he was in Galilee. Many other women who had come with him to Jerusalem were also there.
A passerby named Simon, who was from Cyrene, was coming in from the countryside just then, and the soldiers forced him to carry Jesus' cross.
They brought Jesus to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull. They offered him wine, drugged with myrrh, but he refused it. Then the soldiers nailed him to a cross. They divided his clothes and threw dice to decide who would get each piece.
Teachers of religious law also mocked Jesus. He saved others, they scoffed, but he can't save himself. Let this Messiah, this King of Israel, come down from the cross so we can see it and believe him. Even the men who were crucified with Jesus ridiculed him.
When the Roman officer who stood facing him saw how he had died, he exclaimed, "This man truly was the Son of God."
Not too long ago, I'd sit at this workshop and build supper tables, toys, bird boxes, whatever they were buying. I'd build it. I miss it. I miss the families. I miss the actual craft. Like this mallet. What an instrument. It's simple, elegant, tactile, gives you all the power you need, but with all the finesse required for woodworking. I seem to have traded it in for this. Hammer. It's just gets the job done. It's clumsy, clunky, destructive. Tell that to the Romans, eh? At the rate that they're sending split and splintered beams back to me, hardly enough time to repair them before they nail some other person up on them. My wife, she thinks it's beneath me. I told her I found new work, could pay off the debts, make a better way for us. She didn't say no, but I'll never forget her eyes. They said it for her. She told me, the Romans only ever pay in blood money. I managed my conscience for a while, but then Jerusalem was turned upside down by this teacher. My wife thinks he's the Messiah. I heard the teacher outside the temple. Didn't tell my wife, didn't want to nag me with questions. But to tell you the truth, it was kind of worth seeing the Pharisees' feathers ruffled for the price of the admission. But more than that, his words, they stayed with me. They haunted me. And now, just a few hours ago, I heard they killed him. They, convenient word when you don't want to consider whether you're involved in it. Dozens of crossbeams going in and out of that Roman storehouse. What are the chances that the one was mine? Slim, right? But I just can't shake it. Who could, after witnessing the aftermath of it all? We all felt the ground shake. We all saw the darkness come, black as a raven, shadowing Jerusalem like night had fallen. We all heard that the temple veil was ripped, and the graves were opened up. And my fingerprints, they are all over that cross. I feel it. Why didn't I listen to my wife? Why didn't I listen to that teacher? I don't know if it's too late for me, but I tell you what, I'm done with crosses.
To the old rugged cross, I will ever be true. Its shame and reproach gladly bear. Then he'll call me someday to my home far away, where his glory forever I'll share. So cherish the old rugged cross, to my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for